Hello, everybody. We are back, and now our next speaker is Olzhas, the CEO of WebTotem. He'll be talking about cybersecurity and why it's important for startups, especially now. Nowadays, there are ever-evolving cyber threats from hackers all around the world, and also he will analyze the entire domain zone of Georgia. I will pass my mic to Olzhas.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let's start. One moment, I want to share. Okay, let's start. My name is Olzhas, and who am I? I am a founder of WebTotem and president of private computer image response team. We conducted over 100 security audits around the world, from startups to banks. And we invest our revenue and expertise in development of WebTotem for protection of the web. And we prevented WannaCry attack in the whole country in Kazakhstan. Last year, we won on international hacking competitions, and our experts found zero-day vulnerabilities in PHP programming language and Viber. Zero-day is a new unpatched vulnerability which is used to perform an attack. The name zero-day comes from the fact that no patch yet exists to mitigate the vulnerability being exploited. I divided my pitch into three parts. It's cybersecurity and why it is important right now for startups. What is a penetration test and how do they conduct it? And what startups must do. Okay, let's start. Almost every month we hear about hacking or leaking some popular startup. During the COVID-19, the loudest resonance was with Zoom, which forced the team to suspend the release of new models for several months and focus only on security issues. And if 5 years ago, investors, for example, rarely asked about how startup security works and whether you comply with GDPR, now it is one of the most common questions. I think you understand that no one wants to invest in a startup that can be hacked tomorrow and completely buried. As we move forward in the digital age, cybersecurity should be a core business objective. No matter how large or small your business is, and being proactive can only protect you. Very clearly, we see similar cases related to the cryptocurrencies. Many startups have paid for a poor attitude for security. Okay, and speaking about the security of websites in general, did you know that only 3% of all website owners use some kind of protection systems? The remaining 97% are either not technically savvy or not ready to implement and pay for security. This is the reason that we are now seeing a pandemic of hacking websites. You don't have to be a programmer to create your own website. The threshold for entering the development of sites has decreased, but at the same time, it has become easy target for hackers. And why startups an easy target for hackers? Firstly, for startups on early stage, main purpose is business and sales. They can spend money and time for cybersecurity, unless, of course, you're a startup in the field of cybersecurity. Second, cybersecurity experts are really expensive and they're real shortage. And third, startups think they are too small to be hacked, but data breaches can happen to any business regardless of size. And if your startup was hacked on specialized closed hacker forums, hackers sell customer data of these startups. On this slide, you can see some screenshots from one of the most private hacker forum in Russia. And you can buy some data from some startups here. Okay, and how can startups check their security? To do it, they can order a penetration test or security audit. And penetration test is an authorized simulated cyber attack on an information system. And there are 3 types of pen tests. It's a black box, white box, and gray box. In black box, we have only name of company and external scope of work. Ethical hackers conduct a reconnaissance of your company, and after that, they try to emulate hacker actions for finding some vulnerabilities on your website. And if you compare your defense with offense, then the main goal of the black box is to find one hole through which hackers can penetrate your system. In white box, we have internal access and source code for analysis. In that case, ethical hackers should try to find all vulnerabilities in your system from inside, and often they collaborate with your technical team. That is the reason why the white box costs more than black box. And gray box is just a mix between white and black box. I don't want to tell in detail how we conduct a pen test. I think everyone has ideas, but I want to talk about some interesting devices that we use when we conduct a pen test in offline mode. Many companies forget about physical security. For example, often you are not allowed to bring a laptop inside the company building. This usually applies to government agencies, for example. But the guards forget that now you can install Linux operation system with hacker tools on your smartphone. This often gives us the opportunity to already test the customer's wireless network while we are visiting him internally. On the slide, we see an example with Kali Linux installed on an old Nokia that scans and attacks wireless networks. This photo was taken when we conduct the audit at electrical supply company, in which everything was protected from the outside, but from the inside, we managed to penetrate the networks through the smartphone and manage even the electricity in the whole city. On the next slide, I think you do you often see a network socket in a banks or large financial institutions for connecting, for example, a bank terminal to the network? And we see it quite often. And this combined device consisted from the cable, power bank, and network device, and allows you to connect to the organization's internal network and allow hackers to continue attacking remotely. Ordinary guards often just think that the visitor is charging their phone. Sometimes they may be offense, or you may have to pass a security check. In this case, we load a similar antenna into the car in order to attack the wireless network from the parking place and penetrate the organization. In that case, we use a microwave to drown out the signal from bank terminal to the bank server. And after that, with a HackerF device, we interfere into the connection between these devices. It allows us to analyze and to change some data and attack financial systems. It's our favorite case. When we run an audit on Expo, it's a big building in our capital. We just found a network cable in the parking zone. I think builders forgot about that cable, and we just connect this cable with our computer and got surprised that it gave us access to the network. Okay, what startups must do? The key point, what you must know, security is a process. It's not a product. You can't buy, for example, firewall and set up it only once and think that it will be enough. Evaluate potential risks. Know the vulnerability points that hackers can attack. For example, if you think that if your startup helps for a smart city to control light and you think it's not interesting for hackers, you're wrong. You can see the next video. Hackers can spend less than 5 minutes to take control of the system. Okay, I think I just sharing this video from my computer. One moment. Yes, it's 30-second video.
Идем сюда, видим зеленый цвет, выбираем, например, красный. Упс. Момент. Вуаля. Давайте поменяем на другой цвет. Сделаем, например, синий. Есть. Теперь можно слушать музычку под свои любимые цвета.
Okay, let's continue. Yes, it's just an example how hackers can change lights in smart city. One moment. Next. Okay. Train employees. Introduce best practices using strong passwords, two-factor authentication, train staff to be alert to threats, have a company security policy. This is our dog in this photo. Even your pets must be aware of security measures. Okay. Hackers are also a kind of startuppers. They follow up latest trends and launch and adjust their viruses and hacker tools to current situation. For example, COVID issues. Hackers send a lot of scam emails related to COVID-19, and some creative hackers launch a website where you can download Corona antivirus. But in that case, if your team members downloaded and installed these viruses, I think you should fire this person because it's really silly. Increase physical security and encrypt data. Use encryption tools that come with standard operation systems. Increase physical security. As I have mentioned before, hackers have a lot of tools. Okay, let's relax your eyes. Why do you think this girl could be dangerous for your organization? Apart from a break in a working process. Do you think your security guys would search her? I don't think so. As you see, the hacking device is too teeny that you can easily hide it and hide it in a sole of your shoe. This is one of the devices that automatically allows you to scan wireless network inside the building and give the remote team access to it. Next option, take care of your infrastructure. Often programmers and administrators may release open databases without password or with standard passwords. And that is all hackers are waiting for. Every second, automated hacking tools scan the whole internet for such negligence. You should monitor all your open ports on your servers. For example, on this slide, there is a well-known search engine, Shodan, which monitors such things. Hackers can, with a single request, find all databases with a standard password or without a password, and, for example, encrypt them for blackmail. DevSecOps. Automate safety at its maximum level. Automatically install all updates as soon as they are published. Don't depend on human factor. Launch your company on bug bounty platforms so that ethical hackers could send bug reports legally to you, and also create security.txt file on your web server. This will enable ethical hackers to send you requests if they find vulnerabilities in your system. Watch out for leaks. People are the greatest threat to your business. Often your employees register on various services, including dating sites through a corporate email. In 90% of cases, people have passwords that match your mail. Hackers use it. They collect various password leaks and try this to access your sites. For example, we also collect these data leaks because we use it to notify our clients. For example, 3 months ago, we analyzed all banks in Kazakhstan, and on this slide, you can see corporate emails and passwords in our banks. All these victims registered on the datings, blogs, and other social websites with their corporate credentials. It will allow for hackers to use these data leaks for trying to attack these banks' employees. And prepare for the worst. No system is unhackable. You must be ready that you may get hacked at any point. A company judged according to the way it reacts to being hacked. Reestablish the process, notify your customers, change passwords, and have actual backups. And the main idea is that hacking should be costly for a hacker. To make it costly, follow my tips from previous slides. And one of the last slides. Something about Georgian network. We generated this report via WebTotem. We can use our solution to monitor entire countries, and we scanned with our solution whole.g network. It's about 16,000 domains, and I want to demonstrate current situation in your country. Currently, we found that in your countries there are 68 infected websites. It's a phishing site or with malicious script. Most popular programming language is PHP programming language. Most popular web server is Nginx, and most popular CMS is the WordPress, and it's most hackable right now, CMS platform. I consider it is important that the government monitors its cyberspace for various threats. For example, in the case of WannaCry, we knew in advance who had the vulnerable server and warned the government in advance about it. Okay, everything I told about comes from our own experience, and we are trying to implement all these cases when we develop our own system. Thank you for your attention. Please feel free to ask me any question. You can find my contacts on the slide. And the last thing I want to say is better safe than sorry. Thank you. Q&A section.
Thank you for your talk. And now we have a question. What do you feel is the biggest strength of your company right now?
Biggest what?
Strength.
In our company.
Yeah, in your company, in web.
You mean biggest force, biggest power of our company?
Yes, exactly.
I think our main killer feature that we can monitor all countries. For example, if you compare with our competitors, they can monitor in different one website, two websites. I mean, just single websites. But in our case, from the beginning, we developed our system to monitor whole internet, and for us, it's really cheaper to monitor and defend one website. Yeah, it is cost for us less than 1 cent per month. I mean, hardware cost. And from the beginning, we develop our system for biggest clients. And currently, for example, in Kazakhstan, we monitor 150,000 websites and obtain only information about cyber incidents. And we're trying to focus for non-technical people, because I think you know that currently it's really easy to create your website. I think my mother has website, yes, but she has a problem with cybersecurity. And we are trying to develop a product for non-technical people. You just add your website in our panel, and after that, our security agents automatically install security models.
Mm-hmm. And what the weirdest thing you have heard of being hacked?
Excuse me,
what is the weirdest thing you have heard of being hacked?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember any like hilarious facts or something very unexpected?
Yes, I remember. I remember one hack. You know, sometimes developer do backup of their websites. Yes, and you know, sometimes they this backup on site.com/backup. For example, txt. And hacker just trying this URL, site.com/backup.txt, and he founded passwords and login and email to the website. And he spent less than 1 minute to hack a really big organization, yes. And it's one of the popular mistake of developers. Because hackers, it's a creative people, and they trying to use their minds, their imaginarium. Yep.
One more question. What is more common for companies to develop their own premise solution for securing their data or implement the solution from the outside providers?
You mean if company use outsourcing and how to defend?
Yes, the outside.
Okay. I think currently organization must request some, for example, certificates from these outsourcing companies, because it's a lot of security certificates, a lot of security standards. For example, ISO 27001. It's one of the popular security standard, and also big enterprises, they ask about SOC 2 certificate. It's SOC 2. It's a standard for SaaS startups. And for example, if you provide some services for big enterprises, they can ask this certificate from you. And these standards help you to build business process and security process in your company.
We have another question. In the times of pandemic, we have to socialize online, but most of these online tools seems kind of sketchy. So do you have any tips and tricks we could know that will help us to feel more secure?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, it's of course VPN. Yes, you must use VPN. Secondly, currently a lot of employees, they work remotely, and you must train these employees, because as I mentioned before, hackers sent a lot of scam emails about with viruses, and subject of these emails was about pandemic, yes, and they also created Corona antivirus, and you just you can download this Corona antivirus, and some people think that it's really work.
So as you have mentioned, like cybersecurity can be sometimes a great solution, but also a great threatening tool for a lot of companies. And what do you think? I mean, it's a great investment for any businesses to invest in cybersecurities, and like, why are you, for example, promoting it? Why should businesses, even small businesses, invest in cybersecurity during the pandemics?
I understand the question. Because currently a lot of businesses is online, yes, and if you lost your website, if you lost your, for example, e-shop, or if you lost your, I don't know, market in internet, you lost your business, and I think pandemic accelerate opinions that cybersecurity is really important thing. And for example, if you saw in currently a lot of cybersecurity companies growing. For example, other internet companies have problem, but cybersecurity is growing.
One of our attendees is asking, do you think each country should have the institution like Sarga to develop their own cybersecurity products?
I think yes. Every government has CERT. It's a Computer Emergency Response Team. It's a national internet security agency. I know that, for example, in Georgia, you have a private Computer Emergency Response Team. In Kazakhstan, we have two CERTs. One is national, and one is private. And this organization, they monitor whole network domain and obtain all information about cyber incidents, and they also connected with other CERTs around the world, and they trying to send information about cyber attacks to each other.
Yeah, I think we have a final and very interesting question. The self-driving car industry is growing, and even before that, cars like Tesla are already called a computer on the wheels, not a car with the computer. Do you think it's possible to hack the self-driving car on the fly and cause the damage of it?
Yes, it's possible, and I know these guys. I know guys from China. It's ethical hackers. It's about 5 or 10 people, and they focus only, and they try only to hack self-driving cars. And 2 years ago, they demonstrated how they hacked Tesla. It was really amazing. They just interfere to the connection, and they can change some control.
Thank you very much for starting conversation about cybersecurity because I think it's the thing that we should talk more in Georgia, especially. Um, Now I'll say bye. Thank you for amazing talk and very interesting videos. And now we'll have a break, and after break we'll meet Katie, who will talk about uncertainty, how we can manage in our uncertain, fintech environment.